Well, it was no secret that Craig Tinker was set to leave Coronation Street this summer, but what we didn't expect is some news that came out today which puts his future on the line. It was always going to be a strange one with Craig because technically he's been on the show for 14 years now, and he has fully grown up on the show from overweight teenager to a fully functional policeman. But still, he's a character who never really made the jump. You know, when most characters are developed as a teenager, then they have their like big formative storyline that's going to take them through, and then it's going to be their breakout and then eventually do it. We thought he was going to get that with the Bethany Platt storyline and him kind of exposing the truth about Nathan Curtis and Neil Clifton, who were grooming her. And it was a really big storyline. Then the OCD, then the relationship with Molly Winnard, Kayla Clifton. That one, boom, into more. Now he becomes a policeman. He fully manages to do it. He's always wanted to be a policeman, and he's done it. And ever since he's been a policeman, he has done the square root of fuck all. Which, is it necessarily a shame? Not really. But could he have probably done more? And then you had in the last year or two where he had his relationship with Faye Windass, who eventually left. And poor old Craigie, and even then Lisa, whatever her surname is, left as well. His mum, Beth. No, I'm saying the actress name. Beth left his mum, and he was all by himself. Poor little Craigie and his big old ears. That's not a me thing, that's the Coronation Street Reddit thing. Everybody loves his ears. Now, I won't lie, he didn't ever really make the jump into being a serious adult actor, like how David Platt, for example, or even Max to a lesser extent, Lauren, I guess, Nina, in a sense, Addie. A lot of these characters, when they go from teenager to adult, they either have a big breakout storyline or they just exist for a couple of years and then they leave. And with him leaving, it's now been announced. I was just doing this to get over the YouTube thing. The Coronation Street to kill off a popular character this summer. It's going to be a tearjerker. Coronation Street fans may want to brace themselves as a soap could soon be saying goodbye to a beloved character and traumatic storyline. It was previously announced that Corrie would lose one of its key stars. Alright. When Celebrity Big Brother star Colson Smith shared he'd be leaving the Cobbles. Now it seems that his character, police officer Craig Tinker, won't just up and leave Weatherfield, he'll be killed off in an upcoming story. As it had been reported by The Sun, PC Tinker may be involved in a heroic story which could eventually see him perish on the job this summer. No more details have been divulged on this tear-jerking subplot at this time. Digital Spy had reached out to Coronation Street for confirmation and additional information, but they declined to comment. In January, Smith revealed that he would be exiting the soap after 14 years for the role of Craig, which he started playing when he was 13. And there we are. So, yeah, Craig is going to die. He's going to die in the line of duty and probably be a relatively heroic outcome for the character. Now, I'm going to say something rather unkind, and this is either a knock on the actor, Colson Smith, or the writing. It's quite rude to say, but it seems like all of the focus on his acting went away after he lost all the weight and they didn't know how to write the character anymore. It felt like Coronation Street grounded his character with him being a larger man, and the second he lost the weight, Coronation Street stripped him of all of his character and just made him a token policeman. Now, not even in the kit Green or the Lisa Swain type policemen who do have a very active life outside of their job, Craig was simply made to be a policeman to respond to attack or to crimes, just like how Asher has been made a paramedic to respond to accidents. It's a kind of poison chalice, because it's like, oh yeah, Craig, he always wanted to be in the army and he was not going to make it, but now he finally has. He's finally made it. Yeah. And how's his life? It's garbage. It's not. He's not at the best time. And obviously, I speculated on his exit. The issue with Craig is the Tinkers were never a family that were going to be that big of a deal. Like Beth is gone. He was technically, in a sense, related to Kirk, but not really. And unlike Chesney and Fizz with the Browns, they never seemed to want to build a family around the Tinkers, simply because they weren't that big of a deal. But in the same way, it meant that there was no longer really any characters who you were going to have him build around. You had his relationship with Faye, but it was essentially a friendly thing, and his relationship with Bethany, but still nothing really moved beyond this point, and that's why Craig is going to be killed off, because ultimately the character wasn't going to do anything. And it is a new direction in this new wave of the show, where they want to subvert expectations and they want everything to be suspenseful and shocking and no one's safe. And it's kind of it's resurrecting that kind of car crash TV. Don't get too complacent because your favorite Waterloo Road-esque type character, well, he's happy one moment and he's dead the next. And time will tell if this approach has been working. I've made a lot of videos bashing Coronation Street over this last time period, not because I hate the show, because I love the show and I want it to get better. It is a toxic relationship in a sense, but I'm still not one of the doomsayers. I'm still not one of the people who's saying it should be axed. I'm just saying it could and should be better. And Craig is a character you can kill off. Craig's been there 14 years. That's 14 more years than a lot of people ever make it on Coronation Street. And we often do say, or at least I generally believe, Coronation Street probably does keep on a lot of their more legacy characters. Like the fact that it took Sean 20 years to actually be a good character now is absolutely absurd. But for the rest of the time, he was just a bit of a rude prick. He was a rude gay man. And that was Sean's character for about 20 years. And I don't even remember when he was introduced. But still, that is who he played. Yeah, he was there in 03, full-time 04. And no shit on Anthony Cotton. He has proven that he is a genuinely quite strong actor when you give him the material. But at the end of the day, there's only so much you can do if you don't give them the material. And as said, look, 14 years, hell of a lifetime, decent pay. He's lost all the weight. He's gotten a hair transplant. Everything's going rosy. That's 14 years working in TV, 14 years working in a soap. That unlikely to set him with a job for life, simply because I find it hard to believe anybody will touch him, because he will be typecast as, well, in a sense, he's not really at risk of being typecast because he's no longer the fat kid, because, he lost all that weight. And I know it's been a big topic of the video, but it's a big part of the story. I'm sorry, Coulson Smith done a tremendous job. He is a good actor and he's proven his chops all in all. Let's not forget to give him his flowers. But he also didn't really play much of a part of a copper. At least, maybe if Kit Green sticks around, he'll be typecast as a detective, but still, you can generally see what difference Coulson Smith can bring. I don't necessarily think he will be typecast, but also, as a soap actor whose soap role has been taken away from you, I don't know, man. I don't know. But I mean, hey, he's always generally been doing his own stuff. He's tended to be very active on social media, and he's used his time in the spotlight to, you know, have his podcast with Jack P. Shepherd and Ben Smith. You know, he's generally had a good time on it. He's got 210k followers on Instagram. And yeah, he's got his podcast On the Sofa with Jack P. Shepherd and Ben Smith or something. Whatever. The guy who plays Nick Tilsley. And generally, I can't lie, he did somewhat verge. In his recent time period, it did feel that he simply just wanted to be a presenter. And he did some work with ITV. He's been doing some like excess presenting work, but it always felt like he kind of wanted to. He got taken in by the lifestyle of like, I could be an actor, but I could also just try and present things and do a podcast. And, you know, if that podcast is successful, he's kind of the glue guy. Like, honestly, Coulson Smith, the world's his oyster at this point in time. He's been set up very nicely. And at the end of the day, he will be nothing but thankful for his 14 years on Coronation Street. But to wrap it back round, though, is a death necessarily worth it for the character? I don't know. At the end of the day, maybe it'll be done really well and it'll elevate the character beyond where he's been before, which isn't very high. His highs were never really that high, unfortunately. But then again, he was never really given that big push to become a proper mainstay of Coronation Street, instead being given the background role. So is it a shame to kill him off, but ultimately, is the family really coming back? Don't really think so. You know, does he have any roots? Did he have any kids? Has he had any really big, huge relationships with anyone? No, not really. No. So he is a character who, you know, it's a shame to say, but he is expendable. And as said before, I've always taken this stance with, in EastEnders, a character called Keanu Taylor, who was kind of with Sharon in a big affair that Phil rattled, and then they tried to kill him, and then he came back, and then in the end he tried to kill Sharon, which ended in his life being taken, and him being the death in a pillar of a storyline called The Six, where the six women, you know, had seen this death and now had to cover it up. And for me, Keanu being involved in that death made his stock significantly higher, because instead of just leaving in some, like, not important episode, he was killed off in what I would describe as a golden era of EastEnders on a Christmas episode. Those Christmas episodes, if nothing else is remembered about the year, the Christmas episode of EastEnders is what stands out. So, in the same way, is this an angle where perhaps Coulson Smith is made to be greater because he dies heroically, and maybe he'll be remembered much more fondly? But still, quite an unremarkable character. But, you know, full credit to Coulson Smith. I'm sure he'll do a fantastic job of it. And, you know, maybe it'll show us the reason, like, why they've kept him on for this long. But there we are. What do you think about this? Is it just another angle in the Coronation Street regime of how, like, you know, trust no one, see no one, believe no one, I don't know, whatever. Just always on your toes, which is an interesting angle. It's just right now the juice has not been worth the squeeze, which is a me special. What do you think about Coulson Smith dying? Are you terrified of another somewhat legacy character being killed off? Another character? Will he be a short-sighted death in the long-term, like, scheme of in the long term? I don't think so, but maybe you do. Tell me in the comment section. All this news that's suddenly come out over the last day or so, when there's been nothing for weeks, you're taking the piss. Coronation Street. Love you, legends. Bye bye.